Need a desire. That's like stuck in my head. Supersonic speed. Also, everybody else cosplaying Starfire needs to stop because she's mine and there's no other Starfire in existence. She's mine. I am the Starfire cosplay girl. Y'all can fuck off. Nobody's allowed to do it. Okay, it is cropped off. Perfect.
It was not by chance that this
I need to get like an aspect ratio for these type of games that are like boxy. So I gotta message my artist or something. Like, help me out. How far is this? We got a little arm room over here, got a little over here. Okay. Something about this mode really takes it for me. I don't know. Like, I want this on my phone. Like, I want to play Puzzle Combat all day, every day. Something about it, I'm like, this is the one. Like, this is really doing it for me. Boss Chic, thank you so much for the follow. All right. Let's do one. Let's see if we can use these combos in. And how do we use the alternate costumes? If you press a button. I guess we'll find out. We haven't played as Sindel yet. Thank you. We love a bang bang. I just love a bang. Something about a bang lately just really does it for me. Oh, it's not start. It's okay. We haven't played Sindel yet, so. Who is this? Oh! Did you just see what she just did? That's her grab. You can kick them in the nuts and then flick them back. Oh my god, cunty. But you also have to unlock them all in the crypt. Well, I have some unlocked. Like we have everybody's except for Ashura's and someone else's. Please, the scream. Goodbye. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. You better back it up. I don't know what her fatality is. We're gonna have to look it up. Fatality, GameCube, combos, deception. Sindel.
Round one, fight!
Oh, we're in this map again. But hi, Blonde Barbie, how you doing? I watched Bottoms the other day. It's camp. What is that? I know, I really thought it was Saturday, London. Honestly, I'm keeping it for clickbait, because people like you are coming to my stream and gonna be like, Mama, it says Saturday, you're such a blonde, but like, it's whatever. I really thought it was Saturday. Like, I literally have there's a clip of me at the top of the stream gagging at myself, because I'm stupid. I posted everywhere that it's Saturday, on my Instagram and on my Twitter. It's whatever. But thank you, love you so much. Everybody follow London. Why is this like sticky? Did I get like lip gloss on my GameCube controller? Hold on. Okay. Oh! It's an A24 queer Fight Club movie. So did they get naked and like lube each other up? I'm gonna try to do her fatality. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to land it, but we'll try. Yeah, I really need to get an aspect ratio that's like this size. It's okay though. Oh, well then I don't want to watch it. Fuck them kids. Who cares? I want to see like Silver Fox daddies in their 40s, lubed up, twerking. That's just WWE. Well, on occasion. Well, sorta, kinda. I think Finn Balor's 40. Maybe that's why I have a thing for older men, because Finn Balor is the original. Ew, he threw up. Oh my god, Damien does not, like, Damien looks like, I would say like 34. He's sexy too. I will say Judgment Day, I don't like them, but like, they are all attractive. Like, very attractive people. Thank you for doing a harakiri. I appreciate it. Thanks, I guess. We are how many days away from Mortal Kombat? I think we are 3 days away from tonight, maybe 2 days away. Oh my god, I'm so excited! I can't wait to stream it for you guys. We're gonna be hashtag sponsored by WB and Mortal Kombat. Wait, what? Matt Hardy's something else. So is his wife. Like, no shade, literally Jeff Hardy carried Matt Hardy's entire career. Let's talk about it. Matt Hardy would be a jobber with no life if Jeff Hardy didn't exist. Just saying. He's a freak, and I think he has a history of being, like, gross. Like, problematique. I guarantee you, like, almost every single wrestler from their early career have a history of being problematic. Yeah, his wife is something else. Like, she, if I could, I would actually step into the ring with her and teach her a lesson. I did see something the other day, speaking of wrestlers being problematic and whatever. Did you see AJ Styles doing like he was doing like a TikTok with Kathy Kelly, and he was like flipping his hair and being like feminine. I was like, oh, so do you wanna roll back the tapes? Last time you saw someone being feminine that was a man, you used the F word. So do you want to roll the tapes back, Mr. AJ Styles? Because you were being derogatory back in the day. Because I could call you that word right now. Right now. And would you like that? You wouldn't. Never liked him. He looks like he doesn't shower, so. Just clock it. I've never met an attractive AJ Styles fan. Sorry. It's just tea. This is my first Mortal Kombat game. I have never played it until this year. Like, we've done 3 streams of it, and I have never played this game ever. And I'm like, honestly, such a big fan of it now. Like, I'm like, we need to make a remake of this. Yeah, I know. It's me being stupid. If you missed the reference, it's literally me just being a blonde. That's it. That's it. Okay, so that's handicap. No. How do I... What just happened? Oh, I left. Oh well. We have to do this anyway. I know! Yeah, change it. Make it Nem thought today was Saturday, LOL, laugh at her. Old school wrestler. I mean, I usually say, like, when people ask me this question, I talk about the divas, because, like, I'm a huge Divas stan. But if we're talking, like, gentlemen, I know it's, like, run-of-the-mill, but I remember being, like, an Undertaker stan. Like, maybe that's where, like, my goth side comes from, because, like, I was watching the Undertaker documentaries. Like, I remember me and my sister and my dad, this is, like, one of my core memories. Like, I don't think I've ever talked about this on the channel, but, like, I talk about how me and my dad have a relation to wrestling, and that's why I watch it all the time. But me and my dad and my sister, we rented a... Not rented, we bought, like, the $60 Undertaker full life and career DVD case and watched it, like, so much. Like, we were big fans. I have to do this whole thing again. I'm gonna poop myself. But I was a big, I really liked Christian and Edge back in the day, and I didn't realize that Christian is still wrestling. He's just in AEW until I watched an AEW pay-per-view for the girlies, like the one time that I did. And then I was a really big, this is like really niche, but I really liked Evan Bourne before he got caught for doing heroin and coke and failing his drug test at WWE. But he was so hot to me back in the day. He was like the high flyer. And I think he's still wrestling too. I just think he goes under a different alias. And I liked Rikishi before I watched Total Divas, and then found out that he is not a good father to the Usos. But I was a big fan of Rikishi. Like, not even going to his son's wedding, really lost some respect for him. I was like, ooh. Even if it was produced, I was like... there is that conversation about like, oh yeah, it was Total Divas produced, obviously, but there is some truth to some stuff that they had, I can tell. Like, if I was their father, I wouldn't want, if I was their father being a WWE Hall of Famer, and they're filming a TV show, and they're using my name and likeness, and they were gonna be like, I wouldn't want to be betrayed. Like, I'm not going to my son's wedding. I'd be like, okay, I'm making time for it. Like like that's documented. I would not be caught dead not going to that. Like, that's important. I love China and like I love like all of the history of her, but like I didn't know about her until unfortunately after she passed away. So I wasn't like I like know her history obviously. Like I'm not gonna be like I don't know who China is. Like I know everything that she does and like all of her accomplishments. But I wasn't watching her live every week like I was like Trish, Lita, Kelly, Beth, Michelle, all them.
Well done.
But like them trying to erase her nowadays, I'm like, you guys are sick. It is. Thankfully, because I have a GameCube controller. I don't think I have a... I mean, I have a PS4 controller, but I don't think it would function the same way, because, like, it doesn't have the same... Okay. You're allowed outside today, it seems. I have the busiest week ahead of me, though, guys, so, like, if you see me, like, grumpy or upset or like fatigued, just that's why. Because I have to move during the Mortal Kombat week craziness. And I have like an important like deliverable thing I have to do, and they're like overnight shipping it to me, and I have to like film it like the day before the move, so it's a lot. I'm scared for myself. Thank you. I did my makeup like criminally fast, so it's not as I would like it to be, but I was like, I slept all day, you guys. Like, I slept like 10 hours, like, actually. Like, I fell asleep. I was watching, guys. Okay. Oh, yeah. We had to do this last stream, but the game crashed, so now I have to redo it. So I've done this like 3 times now, so don't be too impressed. But thank you. They are still hard, though. Thank you for gifting another sub, Spooky Flower. Guys, we're almost at 300 subs for the month. I haven't had 300 my sub goal in, like, I would say months. Like, I don't even think the entirety of this year. Like, because this year has been me traveling a lot. So, like, that's crazy. Thank you guys so much. Mwah. Also, does anybody know when the fuck the Nintendo Direct is and want to leak the stream date for me? Anybody I actually know someone at Nintendo. Ooh, let me send a DM. N1, thank you so much for the follow. Hi, Oscar. Oh, this is the counter one. Oh, my bad. That was a really generous. Okay, we did it. What console was this game originally? I don't know anything about Mortal Kombat. I have no idea when it was, but I want to find out so bad. This was 2004, so it came out for the GameCube and the PSP and the PS2. So the PSP version actually has original, like, characters. Well, not original, but they have exclusive characters that we can't unfortunately play. Like, Katana is only in the PSP version, which is wild, but, she's in that. Hi, Eclipsing Moonlight. Oh. I know, they need to they haven't posted anything today, so I'm like, maybe they're like plotting that like tomorrow they'll post. They'll be like, direct is in 2 days or something, I don't know. Yeah, the PSP was the original. She was the original Nintendo Switch. Wish you guys could see the way I'm sitting right now. I literally look like a psycho.
Round 1. Fight.
Anything to be comfortable for the 5 seconds I'm gonna be comfortable. Oh, what was the button to make do the... There we go. We spam this here. We spam this here. We gag him. Oh, he's toast. You better back it up. You better back it up. The way he just hit me with like a 10 combo, like, girl, stop. I think I need to shut my window. I think a mosquito's in here and it's like chewing up my back. Oh yeah, that's right, he turns old. Hi, old. Yeah, Drag Race 5. My friend might be on that, which is cool. We used to do drag contests together. Did I show my butt by accident? I'm so sorry.
Spiritual cleansing, Shujenko. Though the taint of evil continues its hold on you, my training has given you the ability to control it.
Oh my god, congrats. You know who else is having a kid? Kelly. She's in labor right now.
You are always welcome in the land.
But if you're like, my cousin is Kelly, I would literally jump. I'd be like, huh? Can I go to the family reunion? Yep, she's in labor. Well, you should know. And it's disgusting that you don't. It's absolutely sick that you don't wake up and check Barbara Blank's Twitter and figure out if she's in labor or not. Can she put the baby back in and wait until the baby's a Pisces? Please, please. Oh, I'm sweating. It's really hot in here. My fan should be focused on me. Focus on me. Oh, that's so much better. Where is the teleporter to get out of this world? That's the only way you can save. I like the crisp textures. I like that the polygons are like, you can tell that it's like shit. Where is the teleporter? Can I go home, please? Hi, Navi. What the fuck? Top right. Okay, we march, we run, we ride. Thank you. Start the fire. I'm not doing that fucking Nightwing tutorial again. Don't make me do that. This being the best timeline. Are you a Deception Mortal Kombat stan? Or are you saying me looking fierce is the best timeline? Either or I'm fine with. Okay, we go back in. I'm not sure for what though. Oh, we're doing the story. Yeah. So true. So, you know what isn't the best timeline though? I lost the other one of this. Like, these are my favorite, like, drag accessories. Like, these, like, fingerless, like, I don't know where the other one is. I guess I'll have to figure out when I move into my new, like, because I haven't had, like, a lot of my drag, because I'm staying in Rhode Island opposed to where the storage locker is in Massachusetts, and I'm moving back in a couple days, so I'll be able to finally have all my drag in one spot again, which is really nice. And like all of my stuff in one spot, because I've been living through a storage locker and out of someone's living room for a while now, and like I'm so grateful to Onyx and Max, but it sucks that like when you're a drag queen or a drag personality, you literally have to look for 2 bedrooms. Like, you literally need 2 bedrooms. You can't survive out of 1 bedroom. Like, it's actually impossible no matter how hard you try it, especially being a streamer, a collector, a drag queen. Like, there's so much. Like, it's oh, that's not. So like, even they were telling to me they want to move eventually. They were like, yeah, we're looking for like a 2 bedroom, because like because Onyx needs a drag room, and then like they need their own bedroom, which is like what any drag person should do so you can maintain your sanity.
Round 1, fight!
Do I have to win twice? Fuck. Yeah, I have 2 underbed storage though, but like it does not. Like I have stuff that I wear out of drag too, and I haven't like been wearing a lot of like. I've been wearing like the same 4 or 5 things out of drag for a while, cause like I don't have space. I don't know where all my shit is. It's terrible. I'm ready to get it together. Okay, we go save again. Oh, this is a far walk. Alright, I don't wanna. Be fine, hopefully. I stayed up so late last night because I had to take out my trash when it was daylight out, but also because I was watching Housewives of Atlanta. That's where all the Stan Twitter memes come from, but like I had never like sat down and watched it. Oh my god, it is so good. And it makes you understand Drag Race a little more, honestly, when you watch that show. And like other pop culture shows, because like The Real Housewives of Atlanta has so much influence on other TV shows. It's wild. I was like, oh my god, I get that reference from that other show. They referenced this now. Oh my god, it makes sense. I want to watch The Real Housewives of whatever Lisa Rinna's on. I want to watch that. No, but I don't like to watch the entire season. I like to watch the reunion. I can get all of the... I get everything. It's no tea. And the reunions are like 4 parts. So like I could sit down and watch the reunion and understand the entire season. And I'm like, yes. Do they do long reunions in the other ones? They need to if they don't. That makes me want to rewatch Jersey Shore. That was another show me and my family watched a lot.
Brilliant.
I really want Burger King. We got Burger King here. That's so funny. The last time I ordered from DoorDash, it was Burger King. Hey guys, I'm back. Oh, shut up. Silly video game.
Pay attention.
I won't pay attention. How about you go fuck yourself? Do y'all like Coca-Cola? I'm not gonna tell you my order because I'm literally a pig. But I like Burger King, let's just say that. Can I really not get a Sprite? What is your problem? I really can't get a Sprite. Oh my god, I'm gonna cry. Why? Why would you do that? I'll take a lemonade, I guess. No, their lemonade sucks. I have a drink, it's no tea, whatever. I'm really craving Burger King. Like, it just came to me in a dream. No, my Face ID is denying me. Stop, I'm right here. Okay, we got it, Joe. Okay. I also haven't eaten today. I usually eat breakfast, but I haven't eaten anything today, so it's deserved. I really... oh. Oh, I did it first try in my mind. You need to try that recipe for the egg sandwiches I did when I was there. Those are so good. Like, cooking the egg, like, frying the egg or putting... Okay. Like, it's just... I miss making it because I can't make it where I'm living right now. I miss making egg sandwiches. Like, it's so much protein, but so good for you. But also, like, it just... It's so yummy. If you... So you take bread and eggs, you fuck up the eggs. Yeah, you do that. You fuck them up. And then you basically, like, coat the bread in the egg, like, mix you've made. You can put whatever else you want in there. Like, I put salt and pepper sometimes in the mix and, like, parsley or whatever. And then, you coat it and then you fry the bread like you would, like, French toast on, like, in, like, a pan on the stovetop. and you make a really good egg sandwich. And you could even break an egg and like make an egg to put in between the 2 slices of bread. But oh my god, it is like, my mouth is watering thinking about it because I miss making it so much for breakfast. I'm like, I can't wait to make that again. Like, it's just so good. Like, it's just, it's on another level. It's just so yummy. And protein's good for you, so like, slay. Hi, Key. I have the largest appetite in the morning. I'm like, I need something in my gaping maw that I call my mouth. I'm like Kirby. Oh, I did meal prep. Awkward. I mean, I'm gonna be up all night, so I guess like this is like my lunch. This Burger King I just ordered. Do y'all really not eat breakfast? I fucking love breakfast. Y'all need to get into it. Like Dunkin' Donuts, because everybody's saying they're not a breakfast fan doesn't live in the States. If you had a fucking Dunkin' Donuts, y'all would be breakfast people. I'm yelling. You just don't know. You just don't. No, you will be. I'm gonna shove Dunkin' Donuts down your throat. You need it! It's so good. Nice. I got it first try. Never had dunks before. Don't you live in Canada?
Brilliant.
Oh yeah, I woke up today at 6 p.m. I don't really give a fuck. I had someone message me and go, girl, why, like, fix your sleep schedule, like, what are you doing? And I was like, for who? For what? I fixed my sleep schedule to be Nightcrawler so I can hang out with you guys. But also, like, I don't have anything else to do besides stream. Like, what? Like, why would I need to fix my sleep schedule? For who? For what?
You have done well.
Oh yeah, that's right. You replied to that tweet when I was, when I had my flight to Australia. You were like, hi, welcome to our place, or whatever. I've never been to the UK though. I've been like almost everywhere except for the UK. I really want to go to the UK. But there's a lot of places I haven't gone, but a lot of the places that I want to go are not queer friendly, and you know, I'm a walking billboard for oh yeah, absolutely not. Well, I want to go to Japan. iCarly goes to Japan. But I would need to go with somebody a lot smarter than me. Or just like somebody else in general. Cause like, I don't want to go to a, like Australia was fine, but like I did feel lost a lot of the time. I was like, what do I do? Like, I'm just here. Like I don't have any like, I don't live here, you know what I mean? Like, it was just weird. Hey, Shogun. There we go. I don't know if I'll be able to get this. Okay, since we're talking about breakfast though, how do y'all feel about pizza for the morning? Do y'all sometimes eat pizza in the morning? Oh, okay, y'all fuck up a breakfast pizza. Okay. I'm shocked. Oh, love Dom. I should have ordered Domino's. Damn. No, I'm craving Burger King. That was just rude, Kenshi. Can you please fuck off? I'm shocked. I don't think I've ever done it. That's a lie. I don't think I've, like, gotten up and I'm like, hi, Sleepy. I haven't, ironic, the name Sleepy, we're talking about sleep and eating. I don't think I've, like, gotten up and been, like 20, honestly, waking up for me takes, like, 2 hours. So if I wake up at 4 o'clock, I'm not getting out of bed till, like, 6 o'clock. And that's just tea for another day. Like, getting out of bed is excruciating sometimes. Like, it really is. I'm like, I don't want to leave, and then I'm like, I gotta scroll my social medias, and then I gotta be like, okay, what's the plan for the day? Like, what are we gonna do? Like, are we gonna send some emails? Are we gonna do this? Are we gonna text our friends? Like, what's the tea? Then I gotta do my snap streaks. Honestly, I know it sounds ridiculous, like I'm old, I'm old and I have snap streaks, but I like seeing my friends' faces every day. Is that silly? I don't know, I love, like, I know it's like a stupid thing, but I'm like, I like seeing my friends every day. It's like, since we're like long distance, I like doing a snap streak. It's nice. You see people's faces. But that's, like, that's my morning. I take like forever to get out of bed. It's just atrocious. Ew, it's Raiden. No. Watching all your Final Fantasy 16 videos. Enjoy. I would skip the first 3 hours of the last one. But I appreciate you enjoying my content. Oh my god, we have to do another tutorial? Oh no, we don't. We're good. I actually like Raiden's design. He looks kind of cool. I like the teal color. Like teal emeraldy color he's got going on. The gold accents. He kind of looks really good in this game. Kind of like boogered down for the next game. Or whatever game it was. You're heading to the gym. I'm waiting on Burger King. The duality of trans femme versus trans mask. I haven't even taken my hormones. I need to do that. Before it like dies down. Oh, I love it. And I love that everybody was loving it on YouTube. It was really refreshing to see some people like really a big fan of some retro games, because I love playing retro. But I don't see a lot of it nowadays. Everybody's just I mean, like, even myself, I find myself playing only the new gen games, which kind of sucks. It's like, I don't want to be that girl. I want to keep playing retro. I'm a retro girl. That's how I got Partner. I was playing the obscure games while everybody was playing like DVD and like Fortnite, but I don't want to ruin my brand, but it is kind of hard to be like, yeah, we're gonna stream an old school game that nobody knows about. But I'm glad everybody's really loving the Mortal Kombat Deception streams. We gotta save you guys, and the game didn't crash. It's over there. I need a hairbrush. I love that. Retro is so much fun. I know, I wanna, you know what I really wanna play, and it's really obscure. I don't know if, like, starting it today would be smart, because, like, it would probably need a couple of streams in it. And, like, Mortal Kombat 1 comes out in 2 days. I think, like, I would say, like, 40, like, 50 hours, or whatever the countdown is. So I think we'll just play, like, stupid games up until then. Like, I don't want to start anything brand new, like, I don't want to start, like, Final Fantasy or something, you know? That'll take, like, 10 streams, but... yeah, I like playing something that we've both never, for pre-order early access and stuff. Yeah. Pre-order deluxe edition you can play early or something. I don't know. I got an email, and the email said, do you want to play our sponsored game, and we'll pay you to play our game, and you're going to talk about it and play it early. And I said, sure thing. I don't know where that accent came from, but we're going to do it. Yeah, but I do like playing stuff we've never played, though.
Unless you have not.
Because it's like fun, like brand new stuff. That's why I want to play Bramble and the Mountain King later. Oh my god, is this like driver like at my house already? Oh my god, they're like already here. I just ordered this like 2 seconds ago. I like, if you rolled the tapes, I literally ordered that like 2 minutes ago. Hello? That's wild. I gotta go downstairs and wait for this driver to give me my French fries. Eee! Okay, give me a second. I'll be right back, you guys. Ooh! Y'all, I'm dead. Guys, you're gonna gag right now. Boots. Hold on, hold on. Okay. Guys, the driver got me a crown! A Burger King crown! I'm dead! That is, I didn't even ask for one. He got me a crown. I deserve this. Stop. This is so cunty. He was like, oh, and you got a crown. I was like, wait, that's everything. We need to tip him good. And he was cute too. I said, hold on. Hey. That was really fast too. That's like literally the fastest like delivery I've ever gotten. Maddie, my Uber driver got me a Burger King crown with my Burger King. Burger King. Why am I saying it like that? I wear it with pride. I serve my country. I am the royal family. of Weeniesville. So true. The cunty country. The cunty country. When I like write on it, like I cross out Burger King and I write cunty country. Okay, I like actually want to put it on. This is too small. I'm not a kid. Oh, this one's gonna fit. I hope it fits. Why hasn't no one done the Burger King first Snatch game on Drag Race? Let's talk about it. Let's wake that tea up. Remember those commercials with the Burger King? This is the crown from Redacted Showdown that I never got. Oh, I'm not gonna get this one. What is this, honey? Oh, I did it. Oh my god, did you see Nikki's hosting the VMAs? Oh yes!
Superb.
I'd let Scorpion fling me. Or should I say flinger me? Sorry. Oh my god, they're all gonna be there? That will be messy. Uh-oh. Nope. I am not. I don't eat KFC. Their food sucks. Oh. Are you gonna be named like the Chicken House of America and your chicken sucks? I don't know. That's just my tea.
Well done.
These fries are really good. Definitely needed these. It's just giving like, you know when Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob with that Krabby Patty machine that was making like the poopy patties or whatever? That's KFC's food to me. But also, you know what more than anything's food is that for me? Starbucks' food. Does not compare to Dunkin's food. That gives me manufactured, off the table, off the conveyor belt. It's terrible. Oh, I love Popeyes. I love their spicy chicken more than their normal chicken. I would say Popeyes is definitely the better of KFC or whatever. If we're comparing like where to get chicken in the United States. I can't do this combo, like what is this? It doesn't like land.
No, not good.
Hey! Period. What is that stutter? That's so weird.
What was that?
Okay. This is dumb. It's so good. I don't know about all the tutorials though in the story mode. This is like stupid. Because now I can't progress in the story because I'm doing this bullshit. That's the combo we need to do after this one. There we go, my god! Like full, like making the food on their bed or eating it. I can't even hate. Some days I do that. And then I have to like clean my bed, but don't even drag me. Sorry, I do it. They made shrimp on their bed? How do you even make it? Ew!
Acceptable.
What the? Oh, but they can do that, but my house catches on fire for no reason, but they're making full-ass foods on their bed. Okay. Right, okay.
Acceptable. Superb.
That is actually insane that somebody made like a full ass meal on their bed.
Nice work.
Round one. Fight!
Me just spamming the B button, I win. When I make when I make
I did not real.
when I make food on bed and I fart and shit. I don't know. That's what Maddie does. I was doing an impression of you, don't even try it.
Who are you? What do you want?
I am Shujinko. I am searching for the sorcerer Quan Chi.
You have found him. I do not recognize you as a brother of Shadow. Who has sent you? I sent him.
Like literally, like we're just doing whatever in our bed.
Round
Revenge.
fight!
The smack.
Round two. Fight!
You guys remember the brave little toaster? Does no one remember the brave little toaster, you guys? Am I that old? Hi, old.
There is nowhere you can run, sorcerer. I will
The story is not giving. I mean, it probably is, but I don't want to listen to it.
torment you forever, sorcerer. Back! Stay back! I command you! Come
Okay. Now think of the brave little toaster. You remember him, right? He was so brave. Now I want you to imagine this. Plug the brave little toaster into the wall. Then, we throw him into a nice little bath.
Shujinko, I sense you have regained.
Oh, he's toast.
I encountered a ninja specter named.
Hi, Bisky. The brave little toaster doesn't make movies anymore because I killed him. No, it's true. You know what bitch I really want to kill? That fucker Roly Poly Oly. You guys remember that bitch? Yo, fuck him. Yo, I would beat that bitch up right now.
Raiden, whatever I can.
That show was traumatizing. They literally had an old geezer in a Halloween costume chase the kids around the yard on Halloween, and then he would peek in their windows. That show is trauma. I don't remember that. Yeah, what is the tea with this hurricane coming? I got a flood alert this morning, and I was like, okay. Oh!
What's your name, anyway?
I am called Shuji.
This is a long French fry. Lazy Town isn't weird like that, though. You're making it weird by thinking about this. Literally, Roly Poly Oly, there was a man in a mask in a Halloween costume with a pumpkin on his head trying to abduct children. In Lazy Town, they were just singing little shitty fucking songs.
You are not from this town. Who are you?
Doing gymnastics.
I am Shujinko. I am from Earthrealm, on a quest for the Elder Gods. I have been instructed to return to Outworld to confront a growing threat here. I seem to have found it.
I am Li Mei. My village was the first conquest of the Deadly Alliance. They have enslaved my people. For this, I will kill them in due time.
What is your plan of attack?
The Deadly Alliance have offered to free my village if I win.
I'm not continuing this conversation until someone gives me a sub. Fuck you guys. I'm right.
I will attack when they least expect it.
Bold words, young one, but perhaps a bit foolish. What makes you think you can defeat them?
One sub equals one stop bully. Please subscribe to Angel's channel. I love her.
Perhaps I may be of some help. Over the years, I have absorbed much combat.
I auditioned for a PBS show. I was up in the auditions. I made it to the second call. I was almost a PBS kid. I'm dead serious to you.
Li Mei.
Please. Thank you, Blonde Barbie. Okay, 1 second. Let me finish these 8 fries. Okay. So, when I was younger, I was obsessed with PBS and, like, I wanted to be on TV. So, like, I wanted to be a TV kid. So I auditioned for, Fetch with Rough Men. and I made it to the second audition because when I went in, they were like, this is really demeaning the more I think about it. They were talking about how every single one of the kids didn't really, like, they wanted more personality. They were like, they looked at us in the middle of a room and they're like, we want more personality, like, what is going on? So I remember I had my hair up in a beanie because I was insecure about my red hair, and I took the beanie off, like a wig reveal, and it was like, look at my long, luscious, red curly hair. Wouldn't this be, I didn't say this, but I was like, wouldn't this be good for TV? Like, kind of like insisting that I'd be on TV. So I got a call back. But then I didn't do good after that. But my mom drove me to the audition, and me and one of my IRLs were in the same room, so he can attest to it. He also attests and is convinced that he is a DL straight guy on Grindr, but I don't think that's true either, but it's okay. Oh my god, her tits are flapping about. Holy shit! Mama! I want these tits. I'm gonna show a picture of her to my doctor. Excuse me. This is what I want. Yeah, I'm surprised there are so many characters that aren't in this. How many more characters are there? Are there more characters in Armageddon? Because it's like a sequel, is it not? That's not true. 63, that's not true. You're lying. There's no way there's 63 characters in a game that came out in 2006? You lie like a dog. How do I prove this wrong? What? Are you serious? I have literally no words. Why? So why wasn't this, why was this not ever done ever again? Why did we never keep doing this? I'm like literally gagged right now. Mortal Kombat Armageddon came out in 2006 and had every single Mortal Kombat character ever made in it playable? You lie, like, that. I'm like literally gagged. Like, I literally have no words right now. I don't even know what to say. Hi, safety. That's wild. That's why for like, I think I touched on it last stream. Shut up. Why hasn't, like, you know how Smash did it? Smash did it. They were like, yeah, we're gonna make every character ever made playable. I don't understand why that's not the minimum for every fighting game ever. Like, why do we pick certain characters to return and not? It's so stupid. Like, that needs to be that needs to be what we do. Yeah! Or at least something, like, it's usually like a 12 character base roster and then they make like 37 characters as DLC in like any fighting game nowadays. I'm like, why? Like, remember when we used to put content out for not as much money? If you think about it too, Dead by Daylight, if you look at Dead by Daylight's DLC, I think their DLC, all of the chapters together is like over $600. Like, that is insane. Y'all need to update that. Wow, I'm gagged. No, you're right, we should play Armageddon. Does anybody have a guesstimate of how much longer we have in this story mode? Like, I don't even... Do they have alternate costumes in Armageddon? I'm about to just ditch this game for Armageddon. Full stop. Is my Tetris game in Armageddon? I will cry. Please don't take it out. This is Lee May, yeah. Which sucks. I wish her design in the new game was inspired by this a little more. No, my Tetris game they remove. We cry. Safety, the Uber driver delivered me a Burger King crown. I ordered Burger King and he got me a crown. Burger King, or my Burger King, or whatever that song was on TikTok.
Very good.
They cost coins. Ugh, SMH microtransactions. I have to play Sindel's story before our release day.
Round one. Fight!
She was gagged. Yeah, no, I'm even more disappointed about Mortal Kombat 1 and how, like, I just, like, didn't know, like, they had a game that you play as every Mortal Kombat character, and now Mortal Kombat 1 doesn't have... I don't know, like, I'm so, like, wow. Wow. They really ate that. I have to go the long way. We're in baby jail. Horny jail. I know this place. Ew, he's so old now. He's gonna die. Hey! Let me out, man.
I have no desire to converse with a criminal.
Am I not innocent until a court arrives at a verdict?
We shall
Hey, Arctic
see.
Knuckles. I need to get out of here. I'm locked away.
What?
I would not be as confident if I were you.
You gotta let me out of here, man. Oh! Oh!
These were the guards I was sent to dispose of? Pah! Surely you could have slain them yourself.
Why have you killed?
Hi, old. No idea who that guy is, but it's fine. Another Street Fighter ripoff, I'm sure. Sorry. Hi, potato.
Round one. Fight!
Oh my god, I suck. That shouldn't have hit me. No, you're hacking! Well, now that I know that Armageddon is better, I think we're gonna leave this in the dust. But before we do, we're gonna play the Tetris game one more time before we say goodbye to it. And I'll look up Ashra's outfit and the other outfits that we haven't gotten. React to them. But if you do see me pull this up again on another stream, mind your business, because I kind of love this game mode. I don't know. It's better than the actual game to me. Why do I love it? They need to bring this back. Please, if there is a god, they will bring this back in Mortal Kombat 1. Like, I am literally begging. I will do anything. Like, please. And the chibis and their funny dances. Like, please. I'm like, actually, I will do anything to see this come back. Oh, the mirror matchup. H-win. Yeah, I'm not about it. I'm over it. Tutorial mayhem. I'm like, girl, please. I've had enough. And now that I know there's a stacked roster for the other game, I'm like, oh, it's a wrap. Like, it's no Tsibuki. We just go next. That's wild. That you can do that in that game. They're having a MILF off. Wait, I'm kind of gagging her so bad. Are leaning into the blades. Wait, yeah, wait. Back scratcher. Have you ever played Shrek Super Party for the PS2 and GameCube? That's what this gives me tea. They had like big heads in that game. Whoa, Miss Ma'am, that was a lot. And I don't think it was deserved because I've been gagging you this entire game. Oh, that was a good one. I think we do blue here. That could have been better. Oh, that sucks. Oh my god, I'm gonna lose to her. Oh my god. what I do. You know what? Fuck you and fuck this game, bitch! Sorry. Anyways, we're moving on with our lives. I had fun, Mortal Kombat Deception. You're probably one of my favorite games. Let's look at the last cosmetics. Let's look it up. Let's look it up. So, Mortal Kombat Deception alternate costumes. Yeah, I got gagged. I don't want to talk about it. Alternate costumes. I need pictures, please. Ashura. This is her alternate costume, just no hat. Oh. I mean, it's cute. It's not terrible. But it's very like, mama, this is like just you without your hat, Miss Thing. And like your titties out. It's literally without her hat and her titties out.
Not by chance that this trouble came to
I'm dead.
The blame falls squarely upon
Anyway,
those for giving evil the chance it needed, and therefore
then we got Kira.
prophecy. Raiden's Earthrealm champions had failed to stop the deadly alliance from
Oh, hers is cunty too.
army of the Dragon King. In the end,
This is her default, this is her alt. That's very Tomb Raider.
destruction.
I love that.
Elder God's wishes.
This should have been her base and this should have been an alternate. Like, I like this one a lot more.
Combat.
I don't know about the fuck-ass Bob, the Ronald McDonald Bob, but sure. Sure. I think that's it. We needed to get Ashura's and Ashura and Kira's. I think that's it. We got Sindel's, we got Jade's, we got Tanya's. Oh wait, I didn't see Tanya's. Tanya, Deception, alternate costume. Oh wow. That's definitely an alternate. Oh my god, I love that alternate though. I love the bang, you know. I love a bang piece. I'm into it. Really into it, like actually. I wish it would have been, like, actually, I don't know. I'm very 50-50 on it. I don't mind it at all. I think it's really hot. It is really hot. I love that. So we had Sindel's, we saw Sindel, Tanya, Jade, Melina. Then there was Kira, Ashra. I think there's only 7 girlies. So, oh, and Lee May. Did we see Lee May's? No, we didn't see Lee May's either. Well, yes, we did. Yeah, we saw hers. It's like the armor. It's the armor. Wait, then what does this come from? Is this her outfit in Armageddon? What is this? That's really pretty. Oh, there's 3? Deadly Alliance. Hi, Danny. Oh, what is this, honey? What is this? Lee May. Who's this bitch in the bob? Is that Sonya? Katana. Kara Frost. This roster's booger. Is that Jason Voorhees? Who is that? I will not be playing this game. This is Booger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 girlies. And the only girly pop is Kitana. But like, I mean, out of the squad, Jade, Sindel. What is their family name called? Sindel, Jade, Melina. So what came first, Deception or Deadly Alliance? What's the order? So it went Deadly Alliance, Deception, Armageddon. Gotcha. Okay, well, I'm glad we played Deception first. Yeah, I won't be playing this. This is really not. This is really interesting. Oh yeah, we're gonna play that. We're not gonna play it today. We'll play it next stream, and we'll probably do that before, which will be good. I think if we do one stream before Mortal Kombat. So when is Mortal Kombat 1? Mortal Kombat 1 early access. Mortal Kombat 1 players who purchase Mortal Kombat 1 Premium Edition collectors will play on September 14th. Oh, we have a couple days. So I think we'll do a Mortal Kombat jam-packed stream leading up to the release. I know we've been playing a lot of Mortal Kombat lately, but we'll probably do that leading up to the release date, because if we play Armageddon and then there's like references and like characters I've never seen before, I'll actually understand it, because I've played every Mortal Kombat game except for this timeline, so like I'll understand one more, and some maybe of the references and stuff will be cute, so like I'll have my Mortal Kombat history down pat. So we'll play that next stream, but for today I really want to play another game. I really want to play this Mountain in the